Mm-mm. Okay, so today we will deepen our understanding of isolation by reading an excerpt from Invisible Man and comparing the narrator's perspective to Grant's and Jefferson's lives. We'll read chapter 13 to determine the conflict Jefferson has with the Reverend. You know what a Reverend is? What's a Reverend? Preacher, yeah. All right, so today's learning targets. Can students determine how the theme of isolation is developed in Invisible Man and A Lesson Before Dying? Can students connect the themes into literary texts? All right, so we will read paragraphs 1 and 2 from the prologue of Invisible Man together to establish our understanding. When we are done reading, we will summarize the text. So listen to and follow along with the read aloud of the paragraphs 1 and 2 from prologue of Invisible Man. And I want you to think about these two questions. And they're also on your learning log that is on your, that if you picked it up from up there, it's on your desk. Okay. What is the invisibility the author is writing about in these two paragraphs, and what details support your answers? I'm an invisible man. No, I am not a spook like those who haunted Edgar Allan Poe, nor am I one of your Hollywood movie ectoplasms. I am a man of substance, of flesh and bone, fiber and liquids, and I might even be said to possess a mind. I'm invisible. I understand simply because people refuse to see me, like the bodiless heads you see sometimes in circus sideshows. It is as though I have been surrounded by mirrors of hard, distorting glass. When they approach me, they only see my surroundings, themselves, or figments of their imagination. Indeed, everything and anything except me. Nor is my invisibility exactly a matter of biochemical accident to my epidermis. That my invisibility to which I refer occurs because of a peculiar disposition of the eyes of those with whom I come in contact, a matter of the construction of their inner eyes, those eyes with which they look through their physical eyes upon reality. I'm not complaining, nor am I protesting either. It is sometimes advantageous to be unseen, although it is most often rather wearing on the nerves. Then, too, you're constantly being bumped against by those of poor vision, or again, you often doubt if you really exist. You wonder whether you aren't simply a phantom in other people's minds, say, a figure in a nightmare which the sleeper tries with all his strength to destroy. It's when you feel like this, out of resentment, you begin to bump people back. And let me confess, you feel that way most of the time. You ache with the need to convince yourself that you do not exist in the real world and that you're part of all the sound and anguish. And you strike out with your fist and you curse and you swear to make them recognize you. And alas, it's seldom successful. So, what is the invisibility that the author is writing about in these two paragraphs? So, what do you think the author means whenever he says, or the speaker means whenever he says that he can be both invisible and a man of substance? Okay, nobody pays attention to him. What are some things that the speaker compares himself to? Very good. What else? Okay. Why do you think he uses those comparisons? Why do you think he uses those comparisons? What now? It's okay. You can say what try to say what you're thinking. Okay. All right. Okay. So, what do you think is the difference between when he, so he says he's talking about the inner eye and the physical eye? What do you think he's talking about whenever he says the inner eye? Intuition. Very good. What about the physical eye? What you actually see? Yep. Very good. What does the speaker mean when he states you begin to bump people back? You begin to bump people back. What do you think he means by that? Huh? Okay. All right. Okay, so what is the speaker's real problem, do you think? Do you think it's an internal problem or an external problem? Internal? Okay. All right, let's go ahead and go forward. All right, so right now you're going to summarize these two paragraphs from the prologue to help us connect topics from to the characters, topics in the text to characters in the lesson before dying. So in your learning log, you're going to record the text title and the author, then answer the questions about paragraphs 1 and 2 from the prologue of Invisible Man. So the questions are: who are the characters? Which characters are the main characters? And what do the main characters want to accomplish? So as you're doing this, think about these two questions here. And then you're going to write summary paragraphs, a summary of paragraphs 1 and 2. All right. So you've got 10 minutes to do that. So you're answering these questions and then writing a summary. Okay? These two questions right here. What conflict or problem do the main character or characters encounter? What do the main character or characters do in response to the problem? And what are the character or characters, who are the characters? Which characters are the main characters, and who do the main characters want to accomplish, or what do the main characters want to accomplish? So there's 4 questions, and they're all in your learning log. Bless you. All right. So who are the characters in Invisible Man, and which characters are the main characters? So who's the main character, do you think? Huh? The narrator, so the Invisible Man. Which characters do you think are the main characters? The narrator. Okay. What does the main character want to accomplish? Okay. So even though he mentions that there are benefits to being invisible, he states that he wants people to recognize him so that he can convince himself that he does exist. What conflict or problem do the main characters encounter? Do you think that he is facing that he cannot control invisibility? Yes, no, maybe so? Yes. What about that he is invisible as a result of how the people around him choose to perceive him? Yes, no, maybe so? Yes, okay. Tell me if you like this sentence in response. In response to the problem, the main character explains that being unseen can be advantageous. In contrast, he also explains the ache he feels when trying to convince himself that he really does exist. You like that one? Sounds good? Does it make sense? All right, so as a summary, does someone want to read me their summary? Allie, you want to read your summary? Okay, go for it.
I don't really know how to write it, but the speaker claims that he is invisible. He still has flesh, bone, and blood, but is not seen. Not like the ones that hunted Edgar Allan Poe, but like revivalist heads in a circus. He feels like he is not seen in either the inner eye or the physical eye. Yet he feels like he is not in life at all because people don't see him. Every time he tries to get someone's attention, it's highly successful.
Very good. Very good. That is almost verbatim to what I have over here. That was very good. Good job, Allie. Very good. I'm not even going to ask anybody else to do it because so good. Hope y'all got that. All right, so we will now answer questions about ideas and topics shared across text to extend our understanding of the complex texts and build our knowledge of substantive topics. Sorry, I was reading here and not there. This will help us analyze the characters and themes in the text. All right, so we are going to compare and connect ideas across Invisible Man in A Lesson Before Dying by writing your response to the text-specific question, which is what? Where do you think this text-specific question is? You think it's in blue? Yeah, that thing in the blue, right? Yeah. Very good. Good job. Y'all are so smart. Okay, you're going to write your response in your learning log and support your response with evidence from the text. Then we're going to share our responses with the class. Okay, so the question that you're going to use is, how is the speaker in Invisible Man similar to Jefferson and Grant? Okay, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do this. So, how is the speaker in Invisible Man similar to Jefferson and Grant? Anyone want to share? Morgan, you want to share? No? Zoe, what about you?
Oh, I'm on my birthday.
Reese, what about you? How are they similar? Huh? Say that again? Okay. Okay, unseen and put to the side. Okay. Zoe, did you decide you wanted to share?
Yes, ma'am, because Jefferson in the Invisible Man, Jefferson feels invisible to the white people because he's nothing to them, but to his family he's something.
Okay. Anybody else? Do you think that all three characters are not actually seen as who they are? Yeah. So, in Invisible Man, the speaker is defined by how others see him, not by how he wishes to be seen. In A Lesson Before Dying, Jefferson and Grant are only seen for the color of their skin, right? Jefferson's in jail for a crime he didn't commit. His innocence is invisible because of his skin color. And Grant feels trapped as an educated black man in his small plantation community. Because of his skin color, Grant's intelligence is invisible to anyone outside of his community. Does that make sense? How you can relate the two texts to one another? Yes, no, maybe so?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes? Okay, great. All right, so you're going to answer questions about the meaning of A Lesson Before Dying in paragraphs 1 and 2 from the prologue of Invisible Man. All right, so with a partner, making sure that you keep your masks on and social distancing as much as possible. Okay, so stay where you are, but you can talk. Want you to answer these questions, okay, and write your responses in your learning log. So what theme about isolation does the author of Invisible Man begin to develop in this excerpt? How does he develop this theme, and how is this theme similar to a theme being developed in A Lesson Before Dying? Okay. What theme about isolation does the author of Invisible Man begin to develop in this excerpt? Okay, so isolation. We just kind of talked about it a little bit. So how is this theme developed in A Lesson Before Dying? Come on now, y'all know this. What about a theme about isolation developed by the author of Invisible Man is that the perceptions of others can make a person feel lost and alone. Okay, so feeling invisible can make you feel lost and alone. Does that make sense? Yes. The narrator is struggling to prove to others that he does exist, but he cannot change the way those around him perceive him. The narrator describes the isolation he feels in trying to gain the recognition of others. To break through this isolation, he attempts to strike out with your fist, you curse, and you swear to make them recognize you. The narrator admits at the end of the prologue that this is seldom successful and he remains invisible. Do y'all see how this can be developed in A Lesson Before Dying too? The similar theme? Yes? Thank you. All right, so we're going to read chapter 13. And this is the last thing I believe that we're going to be doing today. So you're going to read chapter 13 independently, and you're going to compare and contrast the characters. So what I want you to think about is how did the Reverend and Grant differ in their views of faith? And then I believe I've got this too, don't I? On your learning log, how has Grant's feelings about the church changed over the years?
Yeah.
And then how does this change affect his relationship with others in Bayonne?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So chapter 13. And then we're going to discuss this on Monday. Okay. Sound good?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And this weekend, I want you to read chapters 14 and 15. Okay? The book is online on Google Classroom. So today we're reading chapter 13. If you've got time, which you should have plenty of time in here. Well, you should have plenty of time to read 14 and 15 in here. Okay? All right? All righty.